Hi and welcome to MTG Managed Group, and this is another episode of our Suit Deck Tech from our M12 booster box opening. So we have already split our cards into their individual colors, and the first row is your bombs, second row is the creatures, your spells, and the not so useful cards. So let's go through each of them and see what we have. For the green, we have an Acidic Slime, 2/2 Death Touch. Whenever it enters battlefield, destroy target artifact, enchantment, or land. It's not really a bomb, but we don't really have very good greens for this set. And for the creatures, we have Stampeding Rhino, 4/4 Trample. Our Brinderball, 2/2, and you can sack for 4 life. We have our Bear, and 2 Yellow War Elves. And for the green spells, we have Lure, Enchant Creature. All creatures able to block enchanted creature do so. This is pretty good for enchanting creatures on your own, such as those with Death Touch, so you made all of the opponent's creature to defend against the Death Touch creature. Next we have Throw Hide, really good spell, and we have Arachnus at Web. Is sort of like pacifism, but a green one. Yep, so for our green, it's not looking that great. Let's move on to the black spells, black creatures. First off, we have our 2/1 Onyx Mage. You pay 1 generic and 1 black for target creature you control gains Death Touch. Pretty awesome. We have 2 Dust Hunter Bat, 1/1 with Bloodthirst, 1 flying. Devouring Swarm, 2/1 flying. Sacrifice a creature and it gains +1/+1 until end of turn. We have our Blood Rage Vampire, 3/1 with Bloodthirst 1. Our Warpath Gold, 3/2 creature for 3, and our Zombie Goliath, 4/3 for 5 mana. Not much stuff here as well on our black, but we do have our Doomblade, Sorin's Thirst, deals 2 damage and gain 2 life. Mind Rod, discard 2 cards. And we have 3 Distress, which is target player reveals his or her hand, you choose a non-land card and that player discard that card. With 4 discarding spells, it is pretty good in limited format, because if the player has nothing in his hand, you pretty much have all the advantage you got. And lastly, we have a Dark Favor. Enchant creature, you lose 1 life, and enchanted creature gets +3/+1. Yep, so the discarding cards are pretty good with black. And next we move on to our white stuff. We have our Serra Angel, 4/4 Flying Vigilance, pretty awesome. We have our Grand Abolisher, our 2/2 for 2 white. During your turn, your opponent can't cast spells, activate abilities of artifacts, creatures, or enchantments. Pretty awesome control, so basically you'll be quite safe from the removals. During your turn, of course. And we have our Spirit Mantle. Enchant creature, get +1/+1 and has protection from creatures. So this on the Serra Angel is pretty awesome. Next on to the rest of our white creatures. We have quite a few flyers here. We have 2 Assault Griffin, our 3/2 flying for 4 mana. We have our 2/4 flying First Strike for 5 mana. It's quite high on the cost, but it's flying nonetheless. We have our Alabaster Mage, 2/1, and target creature you control gains lifelink. We have 2 Stormfront Pegasus, 2/1 flying for 2 mana. And we have our Rock Egg, 0/3 Defender. When it dies, put a 3/3 white bird creature token onto the battlefield with flying. Yep. So white is looking pretty good. A lot of flying creatures. In limited, creature with evasion such as flying, intimidate, fear, or unblockable is always good. For the white spells, we have Mighty Leap. Target creature get +2/+2 and gains flying. We have our Angel's Mercy, gain 7 life. Gaining 7 life in a limited format is a huge advantage. Yep. Next, we have our Guardian's Pledge. White creatures you control gets +2/+2 until end of turn. We have 2 Divine Favor. When it enters the battlefield, you gain 3 life. Enchanted creature gets +1/+3. Yep. And on to our raid, we have our bombs, our Flame Blast Dragon, 5/5 flying for 6 mana. And whenever it attacks, we may pay X and 1 rate. If you do, it deals X damage to target creature or player. Pretty awesome. We have our 4/4 Volcanic Dragon flying with haste for 6 mana. And on to our raid creatures, we have our awesome Lightning Elemental 4/1 haste creature for just 4 mana. We have Goblin Piker. We have 2 Wall of Torches, 4/1 Defender for only 2 mana. Pretty awesome. We have our Goblin Fire Slinger. It deals 1 damage to target player. And we have our Grim Lavamancer. Exile 2 cards from your graveyard and it deals 2 damage to target creature or player. Yep. Our raid cards are looking not bad as well. Let's see what we've got for their raid spells. We have Act of Treason. Gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature. It gains haste until end of turn. We have our Shock. Deals 2 damage. And Goblin Warpaint. Get +2/+2 and has haste. So raid is looking not bad. We might probably go with white and red. Maybe splash black perhaps. So for blue, we have our Mind Control. For the creatures, we have 4 flyers. We have our Chasm Drake, 3/3 flyer. Whenever it attacks, target creature you control gains flying. We have our Aven Fleetwing, 2/2 flying hexproof for 4 mana. Skywinder Drake, 3/1 flying for 3. And our Merfolk Looter. And for our blue spells, we have Turn to Frog, Negate, Ice Cage, and Mana Leak. Yep. And on to our colorless, we have our Solemn Simulacrum, our 2/2 mana for 4 creature. When it enters battlefield, search your library for a basic land, put that card on the battlefield tab, and shuffle your library. When it dies, you may draw a card. Pretty good. We have our dual land, Glacier Fortress, Elixir of Immortality, and Mana Leaf for mana fixing. Yep, so do let us know in the comments below how you will form this deck, and we will form ours. And I'll see you guys in a minute. Hi and welcome back. So this is the deck that we'll be going with. It's a red-black deck. And so let's go through our black first. I've been struggling with either with black or white for this deck build, but I've gone with black in the end, so I'll just explain why. So for black, we have our Onyx Mage 2/1 with the ability to give a creature Death Touch with our flyers. Dusk Hunter Bat, 1/1 with Bloodthirst flying. We have our Devouring Swamp, Blood Rage Vampire, 3/1 Bloodthirst 1, Warpath Go, Zombie Goliath. And for the spells, we have Doomblade for removal, Mind Rot, and so Sorin's Thirst first. We have Mind Rot and 3 Distress. The reason I go with the black is because in limited, if you can get your opponent to discard his bombs or the important spells, he's basically screwed. Yeah, so although black doesn't have a lot of powerful creatures or spells, but 4 discarding spells that cost relatively low mana is really awesome. So basically you are ensuring that your opponent does not have any answer or any cards that can win the game. And the last one, we have another card discarding spell, but it costs slightly higher. It is Monomania. Target player chooses a card in his hand and discard the rest. So by any chance, if the 4 discarding cards are not out, but you drew this and the player has like 4 cards in his hand, he'll be made to choose to make a very difficult decision by using, yeah. So this is our black for control, mostly, and will be depending on our red creatures to win the game. For example, our Flame Blast Dragon, 5/5 flying, and we can pay some mana to let it deal damage to creature or player. We have our Volcanic Dragon, 4/4 flying with haste. Grim Levermancer to basically just deal additional damage for whichever spells that we have already used. We have our 4/1 Lightning Elemental. Some early game Goblin Piker and Wall of Torches just to hold off until our bombs can come out. Our Act of Treason, so in case that any of our removal spells fail or we are unable to discard our opponent's hand, we can use Act of Treason if its big creatures came out. And finally our Shock. Yep, so this will be our deck build. Let us know in the comments below what kind of deck you'll be going with out of the card pool we have. And that's it for this episode. Be sure to click like and subscribe to our channel to support the series, and I will see you guys next time.